Just last week, Busch and Corey LaJoie were involved in an accident caused by the latter. Busch did not have much to say at the time, but now he's more than furious and is looking to retaliate in the coming races. During the last stage of the race in Pocono, Busch found himself defending against LaJoie. No matter what move Corey threw at Busch, the number 8 car seemed to have blocked it. Going into turn 1, LaJoie decided to throw a Hail Mary down the inside of Busch, who was already taking a low line. Unable to maintain his line, Corey ran into Busch's rear left and sent him spinning and out of the race. Along with Busch, a few more cars were taken out. After the incident, Busch did not have too much to say about it. It doesn't matter what I think. You have mirrors and cameras and everything else. So you try to get in front of the run that's coming. And I was trying to get in front of that run, and sometimes some don't lift. This is all Busch said when talking about the incident. After this, whenever he was asked to comment on it, he just went on to thank his sponsors for supporting him. And we would like to thank you for being some of the best fans in NASCAR. If you want to watch more content like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for our channel. You won't regret it. Despite taking the high road last weekend, Busch decided to go the other way before the race in Indiana. He just clips me, Busch told McAfee. That's like stupid. Like, what are we doing? We're going 190 miles per hour into that corner, and we're going to wreck each other? Asked by McAfee if Busch had talked to LaJoie, Busch said, "No, he texted me and then called me, and I didn't even reach back out, because he changed his story 4 times. So I'm like, you're just a liar. Like, you wrecked me. Like, I get it. It's fine. Whatever. Payback is coming. Payback is coming." Does this mean Busch will be looking to retaliate in Indiana this weekend? Let's wait and see. The accident was definitely LaJoie's fault. However, he had no problem putting the blame on Busch. Just moments after the accident, LaJoie came on the radio to accuse Busch of hooking himself going into the first corner. He hooked himself. "Fuck him," his crew chief said. "We ain't worried about him. We're worried about ourselves." Corey and his crew seemed to be ruthless and careless about the accident. But this did not anger Busch. However, it did anger the RCR team owner, Richard Childress. Here's what he said. "That damn 7, LaJoie, is a weapon. A damn weapon," Childress said. Despite Richard's anger, Busch decided to maintain his cool. But he couldn't this weekend when Corey kept changing his perspective on the incident over the last week. As Busch mentioned, Corey did text him on Monday, but Busch did not reply because Corey refused to take complete responsibility on the accident. Even if he did, he would blame Busch again in the next interview. Let's take a look at some of the different things Corey LaJoie said about the accident in the past week. We've already covered the radio message of Corey blaming Busch for hooking himself. Here's what Corey said after the race concluded in Pocono. "I had a bit of a run. Number 16 gave me a big shot," LaJoie said. "I got to the left rear of the number 8, and he blocked it twice, and I just kind of held the wheel straight, and I was almost anticipating our bumpers kind of lining up and giving him a little bit of a shove. But when he blocked it the second time, it just turned him across my nose. I'm sure he's mad," LaJoie said. "I'm sure there were guys that got caught up that were mad, but I don't feel like it was a bonehead move. I had a run. I got to the left rear. He blocked me twice, and the second time he spun out." When asked if he would have done things differently if he had got the chance to go at it again, he said, "No, you've got to take the run," said LaJoie, who was hampered by a lap 96 pit road speeding penalty. "You know, I don't want to. I'm not the guy that wants to wreck anybody. But I think if Kyle blocks only once, then we both go around the corner and live to fight another day. But that second block that he thought he had it covered and he didn't was what did him in, and did a couple other guys in. But man, it is really hard. It's so freaking hard to run 19th. I mean, it's all I got, tongue hanging out, so you have to be perfect. I think Kyle and I have been racing around each other long enough. We're not going to smash into each other on purpose," LaJoie said. "We both are guys that feel like we belong, certainly him. But I mean, I'm not going to say sorry. I'm not sorry about it, because that was the thing. If the shoe was on the other foot, the exact same thing would have happened. And I think he would probably say that." Here we can see LaJoie blaming Busch for that second block that forced Corey to take a lower line than him, despite the fact that it wasn't warranted with over 40 laps to go. And when asked if he would do it again, he said he would. And then in another interview he said, "Hate it. Took out him and some other guys. But that's just what you have to do. You have to take momentum when you have it, because if you don't, the guy behind you is going to put you in a worse spot than you're going to put the guy in front of you. That's just how the racing is. Despite feeling sympathy for Busch, he didn't take responsibility for his actions, claiming that it was warranted as the guy behind him was putting too much pressure. And then, later during the week, he decided to take some blame. "I do feel a conversation is warranted here," LaJoie said. "I do feel worse about it on Monday than I did on Sunday night because now I see everything. It makes more sense to me. People that are on Reddit are probably having their own opinions on what happened. But that's just how aggressive you have to be on restarts. You have to take momentum when you can get it. I'll take some blame there. I think that if Kyle pulls fifth gear and the momentum of his car doesn't change as much, then I won't turn him around. I think we just roll around the corner." LaJoie said on his podcast that he felt that Busch was in between gears when he hit the rev limiter chip, and that slowed Busch's momentum. "When he throws the initial block, I still had some forward momentum in relation to him," LaJoie said on his podcast. "But then it evened out. I was planning on trying to kind of blend back behind him. But at the same time, I was committed to kind of fill and get behind him is when he was in the chip. So the amount he was in the chip, I didn't anticipate his car losing that momentum relative to mine. I spun him out, took out several good cars behind me, which I do feel bad about on Monday." Looking at his comments on the incident in the past week, we can understand where Busch's frustration is coming from. Even when he took the blame for the incident, he did so by assigning some of the blame to Busch as well. So, whose fault was the accident actually? Looking at the footage of the accident, there's no doubt that LaJoie was at fault. Yes, he was receiving pressure from the car behind, and that compelled him to put pressure on Busch, who was right ahead. But the number 8 car did a good job in blocking LaJoie's moves. Instead of accepting defeat, LaJoie attempted a very dangerous move on the inside of a high-speed corner. If this move was made on the very last lap of the race, it could have been justified, as that is the time the drivers get desperate to make up places, especially in the midfield. But with 40 laps to go, the move was unnecessary. LaJoie should have just accepted defeat for the time being and should have planned for the long term. Instead, he ruined the race of not just Busch, but Ryan Preece, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., and Harrison Burton as well. The accident marked another disastrous weekend for Kyle Busch, who's having the worst season of his career. So far, he's not even come close to winning a race and is over 100 points behind the cutoff for qualifying for the playoffs with points. It looks very unlikely that Busch will be in the playoffs this year, and the last race in Pocono certainly did not help. Kyle Busch will be hoping to have a better day this Sunday in Indiana, but this season is pretty much over for RCR and Busch. So they'll be looking to use the remainder of the season to gather data to develop next year's car with hopes that they can start winning races again. Do you think RCR and Kyle Busch will be back at the front next year? Post your thoughts on the comment section below.